Welcome to All You Need to Know, the show where you hear about everything and learn about nothing. Here are your hosts, Quinn and DJ Pig.
Welcome to episode 156 of All You Need to Know, AYN2K. DJ is doing gestures as to what the episode number actually is. That's for people that'll be watching the podcast, because it will be on YouTube this week. But for those people that are listening to the podcast, I just thought that I would make that clear. We have a very exciting episode today. First, my name is Quinn Eaton.
I'm DJ Pig.
And we have not one, but two very special guests. And we've had, I'm sure, longtime fans of All You Need to Know listen to episode 87, Toddcast, an interview with Todd Faulkner. He's back. He's back in the studio. Return of the Todd. Yes, it is. Yeah. Or I guess you could say like Return of the Todd. And there's Jeff, because we also have Jeff Bidwell. We also have Jeff Bidwell joining the show. And are we going to be able to, are we going to have all those voices at the same time? Yes, we're going to somehow figure it out. We're going to make it work. We've got a really fun idea for today's show. I think there's already some tension built up between Todd Faulkner and Jeff Bidwell. And so this is finally going to let them kind of air their grievances, right? They're going to be able to say, you know what, this is what I think. Oh, no, this is what I think. And it's going to be a really good back and forth. We've got a lot of fun questions for them. DJ, what are you most looking forward to with the episode that we'll mention here in just a second before the topic transition?
Right. I think I'm most interested in the sports versus news battle.
Well, I said that we would mention it here in a second, and then you went ahead and mentioned it. So I guess that's the second that I was talking about, right? But
yeah, I mean, that's
we usually don't mention the topic until we're right in front of the topic transition. But heck, let's go ahead and do the topic transition, because this is going to be a fun episode. Let's spend as much time with our guest as we can. Whenever we come back, we will be sitting with Todd Faulkner and Jeff Bidwell from WPSD Local 6. This episode, 156, News versus Sports. What matters more? So welcome to episode 156. We now have Jeff Bidwell and Todd Faulkner, WPSD's finest, with us here on All You Need to Know. Thank you guys so much for joining. We know that we're not paying you guys to do this. We couldn't even if we wanted to. We have no money, but we appreciate you guys stopping in and taking a little bit of time to Zoom. I'm sure you guys are probably a little tired of Zoom like we are, but I just wanted to thank you guys for joining us today.
You're welcome. I would say thank you and you're welcome and all of that first, but Todd likes to go first, so I'll let Todd.
Okay.
Go.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, and as the previous member who's been here, on this podcast, I appreciate that, Jeff. But you're welcome for being here, and I managed to convince Jeff to join us. So.
Thank you so much. Because we talked about this the first time after we wrapped up our episode 87 Toddcast, an interview with Todd Faulkner, which, by the way, if you ever wanted to have your own podcast, Todd, that might be a really good name to roll with, and we'd be willing to sell it to you for the right price. But I just wanted to mention that we are recording this, for the podcast, but we're also going to release it on our YouTube channel. Okay. So everyone seems to have the classic like Zoom background. Like Jeff has some nice things, up on his wall, and DJ has a really nice, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's a pig, and it says Creative Cooking with Chicken. So the pig's reading a book called Creative Cooking with Chicken. It's a really nice piece. I've got some albums behind me. Todd, it looks like you have some artwork, but we just can't really see it. This is bad podcasting. But Todd
honestly looks more like this is a proof of life hostage video where he's in front of the blank white wall. Can you hold up a newspaper with the date just so we are sure that it is?
I was going to do it in my little den library, and I was trying to hook up my AirPods, and then Jeff got me all flustered because he texted me and said, "Let's go." So I said, "Forget it. I'm just going to plug it in at the kitchen table, and I'm going to do it here." So I'm at the kitchen table.
All right. Well, we're making it work. It looks fine.
Yeah. Todd, blink twice if you need help. Okay.
Yes, please let us know, Todd, if you're all good. Okay. But we've got a really fun episode. I think that it's something that a lot of people are going to be interested in. I have watched WPSD Local 6 for quite some time. I've always watched it since I was a kid. You guys have been there for quite some time, and I'm not gonna put this out there, but it seems like there might be some tension between it. Maybe it's a friendly tension, but I've seen a couple clips. Like I remember Todd was standing in front of a TV, and Jeff said, "Thanks, Todd. You're not supposed to be there," or something like that. But it seems more of a friendly relationship than it is, more of an unfriendly occurrence.
I'll let my senior statesman begin.
I hate this man more than anyone I've ever met in my life.
Oh, that's great. And so
he can rot in hell.
We're gonna take those feelings and we're gonna work through them today. So
I need to preface this now because I don't know what the hell's gonna happen in the next half hour, 45 minutes here. Todd is one of my best friends, and I give him an exceeding amount of grief at any given moment, and it is reciprocated, and it's fine. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get him arrested or at least interrogated for stealing ice from the gas station, and we may get to that later. But we've had people who have actually emailed the television station concerned that I'm too tough on Todd for busting his chops on the air. And I just want to state for the record before we begin that I'm Team Faulkner here. So everybody just simmer down.
And honestly, to our hosts, just so you know, and the listening audience knows, we do have a very jovial relationship, but obviously sometimes that doesn't always come across to the audience. But it is a good working relationship.
Well, we're here to work through those feelings. So I think it's going to be really interesting. If you guys want to go ahead, I mean, Todd, we've already had you on. So if someone really wants to hear your life story, they're welcome to go back to episode 87 and listen to it. But for those people that are tuning in today, if you wanted to kind of introduce yourself, and then Jeff, you're welcome to go right after them, just to give people a little bit of common ground here.
I'll give you the 10-second elevator pitch, and that is that I've been with WPSD since 2007. Prior to that, I was with a TV station in West Virginia. I started there in 2003, and I love presidential history, and I love my 9-year-old niece.
Time's up. Time's up. Dude, you can't tell me 10 and then go on for 30 and start talking about presidential.
He was getting to the good stuff, I thought, but I mean, Jeff, you're welcome to go ahead.
I'm finished.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead.
May I will have hit my 19th year at WPSD. Before that, I spent 4 years in Augusta, Georgia, and of course, married to my lovely bride, Jennifer. We have an army of children, and that's your 10 seconds.
Okay, and I think that's perfect. There's not much to know about us. DJ and I are in college and don't have a lot of money. We've actually joked about this. We've been doing the podcast for over 2 years. But we joke and we say that we're a negative profit company. We're not a nonprofit. We're a negative profit company. So
hey, it's all a write-off. It's all a write-off.
That's exactly right. That's what we're going with. But today, the big topic that we're going to be covering is news versus sports, right? Because we've got Ty, he's been reading the news. You've got Jeff, of course, he's the sports segment host. So we thought that it would, whenever DJ and I were kind of brainstorming as what we could discuss with you all, that would kind of, produce a good conversation. We thought that would be good, but I didn't want to get straight into that because I wanted to give you guys a little bit of time to warm up. So we have developed some rapid fire questions that I think is just going to kind of get the brain going for you guys. And it's also going to allow people to maybe get to know you a little bit better. I'm sure there are those WPSD super fans out there that really want to know the answer to some of these questions that we're going to get to.
Yeah. Wait, are there WPSD super fans out there? I'm not sure there are.
I mean, I'm not going to say that there isn't, right? But I have seen a couple Todd Faulkner fan accounts on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen those, and by the way,
yes, he's seen them because he created all of them.
Yeah.
He knows the passwords. He's very intimate with.
I was going to say, I mean, Todd is a really good Twitter follow, really good GIF usage, usually some really spot on tweets. I just wanted to go ahead and say that if you wanted to plug your own Twitter. Jeff, of course, you do a great job.
No, thank you. Considering I have no idea how to operate TikTok or any of those young people things, I try to the Twitter. I try to do it good. So,
what language was that?
It was good enough. So, with that, I think on that note, let's go ahead and go into these questions. We've developed, it looks like 10 questions that have all kinds of different, topics, and it's like 10 little mini topics, but they're designed to kind of just get us warmed up. Short responses. We'll go back and forth. We'll ask Todd first, since he's already been on the podcast, and then Jeff, you'll answer second. But the first question, as long as you guys are ready, do you have any other things you want to plug, or are we good to go?
I'm good. Jeff, you?
Let's roll. Let's
Okay. So for people that are watching, you might see I've got some albums hung up behind me. You might choose one of these. You might not. But the first question that we have is the Desert Island album, right? What album would you choose if you were stuck on an island and you could only have one album to listen to? And that's it.
Well, not that I was alive during this time, but I'm probably showing my age a little bit. I'd have to go with any Beatles album. Any Beatles.
Okay.
Album. Absolutely.
Quinn's got most of them, don't you?
I do. I have a fair selection of them, actually, but
yeah,
I've just got Abbey Road hanging up right here. But
Yeah,
Jeff,
I think Abbey Road, yeah. Yep.
what about you?
I'm probably stuck somewhere between Dr. Dre's Chronic and REO Speedwagon's Greatest Hits, but I will go with the first cassette tape I ever bought, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA.
Oh man,
nice.
The Boss. Yeah, that's never a bad option. Those are good. I personally like both of those albums or both of those choices. I'm a big Beatles fan. And then REO Speedwagon, that's a really good reference. I actually am a big fan of REO Speedwagon. So
It was hard for me not to say Enya or like Mariah Carey, but I'm gonna go with Beatles.
are you the type of person that, starts blaring All I Want for Christmas Is You right around Christmas? Is that a Mariah Carey fan, or
my windows shake? I play it so loud.
okay?
He starts in August too. That's the main problem.
All right. Well, DJ's got the next question for you guys.
Yeah, second one, quick one, easy one. Dogs or cats?
Am I going first?
Yeah, you go first,
ahead.
Todd.
Yeah.
I know you like that. That's fine.
Okay. I assumed, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I
check. Dogs, absolutely dogs. Hands down. Cannot stand cats. Dogs. Oh, I'm gonna get some hate email.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that.
Be careful.
I prefer dogs over cats.
Okay.
There.
Good.
I've always been a dog guy. I now have 3 cats, thanks to my wife. I would prefer goldfish, but we'll take. I would prefer a dog, yes. But God, cats are so self-cleaning. It's an underrated part of the animal that you can just leave some food out and be gone for 3 days, and you don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, you can do the same thing.
I appreciate and can applaud a self-sufficient animal.
Right.
Which is why I hang out with Todd.
Well, I was going to take a jab and say that, DJ's the same way. You can leave food out for him and he's good for 3 or 4 days. So,
Yep.
we're not going to lie there. But dogs or cats is, I think, a classic question. And it was actually, you guys both went dogs. That's probably I think most people would say dogs there. I like cats, but it's just one of those things, like you said, cats can really easy to take care of. Dogs, a little bit more maintenance. But at the end of the day, it's a companion. So, not a big deal. But let's go with this next question, a little obscure. Which are you most upset about going out of business or filing for bankruptcy? Blockbuster, JCPenney's, or Circuit City?
Hands down, Blockbuster. Here's why. Blockbuster, and Jeff and I are going to date ourselves on this. Blockbuster was an evening event. Okay. Blockbuster was, you got your buddies together, you went to Blockbuster, you perused the aisles, you picked your movie. It was an experience. So Blockbusters for me.
Okay.
Todd didn't date much in high school, and second of all, I will go Blockbuster as well, because I wasn't. I don't know. Anytime I went to JCPenney's, that usually meant it was back to school shopping, and my parents were asking me if the pants were tight in the crotch. So there was only. We've all been there. Todd,
Always,
yeah. How's it feel in the crotch? I'm like,
I know what you're talking about. And just to chime in on, what was the third one? Circuit City.
Circuit City, yes.
Overpriced. Circuit City overpriced, and I like quality, but I wanted it reasonable.
Of course. Right.
Jeff.
Yeah. There's a reason why they went out of business, I guess. So
That's correct.
Blockbuster was a little bit ahead of DJ and I's time. I went to a couple movie huts, but it was never an event for me. And it seems like that would have been really fun. Now it's streaming. You just, turn on your television. There's no fun to it. So I think
love streaming. I don't have to put up with anybody. I can be alone and just don't interact with any public person.
Yeah. All right. Forget what I said. That's exactly right. So we've got another question, unless, the throwaway there, I think, was JCPenney's. We threw that in there, but I don't think anybody really gives it 2 cents about JCPenney's, but
We're moving on. Next one.
yes, sir.
All right. Next one is a very important question, especially if you've got people living with you in the house. What's your go-to temperature on the thermostat?
Well, in my home, it's me, myself, and I. And so I rule the thermostat at, what's it at? 66. 66.
Oh goodness, a little
Take
chilly.
a breezy.
Ice box. All right.
Oh, it's good. It's real good.
Is this heat or is this air conditioning? Or is
Well,
this
it's on the heat setting. I don't know why I keep looking. I've already seen the number. It's a 66 heat setting. Yeah, heat.
Okay.
Because I like it cool. I like it cold.
I do too, but I guess it's just you can answer both seasons if you want to, Jeff. You can say.
Okay. So in
He
the
said
summer.
Jeff. He said Jeff. Simmer now. You already gave us
Oh,
66.
I thought I
You
was
got
supposed
it.
to, no. I was supposed to do the summer. Let me just do the summer real quick.
Okay.
So in the summer, I keep it at 70 or 68 because I like it cool. So
Okay.
Thanks for that clarification. It's a solid 70 all the time.
I think 70.
I'm in fact, I honestly, I turn it down to 65, 66 in the winter, and then my wife walks behind me and turns it back up because mostly I'm just cheap. I just don't want the furnace running all the time. So
Sure.
but
Sure. I think
comfortable
70,
70, open the windows, you're fine.
70 is definitely like a middle of the road temperature. You can't go wrong, but I do kind of like it chilly sometimes as well. So that's always a good debate, I think, is the temperature as far as controlling the thermostat. It's always nice to be able to control it as well, not have. So Todd, you're the lucky one out of us is being able just to solely control that thermostat. But this next question might be a little invasive. It might be a little personal. So feel free to, exercise your right to not answer it. But public bathrooms, use or hold?
Oh, I can't wait. Mr. Faulkner.
as a general rule, knock. There's a knock at the door somewhere. I heard a knock somewhere. Is that you?
I don't know.
That was us waiting for you to
sorry.
spit out the answer.
How do I answer this? I'm generally a hold person. If I stop somewhere and this is my OCD cleanliness expectations, Jeff's already shaking his head. If I get the impression it's dirty, like it's a dirty place, I don't go to the bathroom. I hold it. I'll wait till my eyeballs float. I will hold it. So I guess to answer your question, public bathrooms, I'm a hold. I'm a
Okay.
hold.
100% you use 100%. Now that's a number one situation. And I've many times had to, you lift toilet seats up with your feet but by any means necessary, but no, Todd will. Yeah, no, we've had conversations about there's certain airports that he approves of their bathroom cleanliness and that he flies through those places specifically so he can go to the bathroom.
Chicago
Yes.
O'Hare. Chicago O'Hare.
Okay.
Because Chicago O'Hare, if you ever fly through Chicago, the toilet seats you hit when you're a new occupant of the stall, you hit a button, and this little covering goes whoop, and it gives you a nice little covering on the seat. It's nice.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice.
Gotta love it.
We need to start a petition to get that everywhere. That would be a really nice convenience to have in the public bathrooms. But
I've heard him tell this story now 7 times. That's how excited he was about it.
well, and I'll
Does
go
he
ahead.
go whoop every time?
This is the first whoop. That's kind of a big deal.
Well, Todd, from now on, if you tell the story, you have to include that whoop. I think that was really good. It added to the story. We talked about something. We're not going to ask you guys this, of course, because this is definitely invasive. We asked a question whenever we had a call-in episode, and we simply asked sit or stand. And I'm sure you guys can kind of let your imagination run through there. But we'll go on to the next question. I think that would be a little bit too personal.
It honestly depends on how beaten down by the world I am at that moment.
Okay.
Sometimes you're just like, I'm just going to sit here and hide out for a few minutes and just let it go. That's
Been
it.
there. Been there. Yeah.
All right. So Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
Oh, I'm first. I keep forgetting I'm first. I'll go Starbucks. Yeah.
I don't drink coffee, so it's Dunkin' all the way.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, no.
So
Iced tea. Get my iced tea and my little breakfast wrap things I get from there. So, if I go to Starbucks, I end up getting hot chocolate or iced tea. I don't drink coffee.
I was
Anyways.
actually talking to DJ before the episode. I said, "Hey, Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts has really good tea." So I mean, I don't know if you've come
I've
onto
never
that
had
as well, Jeff, but I mean, I'm an advocate for Dunkin' Donuts, and of course, it's going to be cheaper. You can get a lot more for a lot more bang for your buck at Dunkin' Donuts than you can Starbucks. I'm sure we've all been through the Starbucks line, paid $8 for whatever they give us, but I figured it's good to have Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts for those that are keeping track at home. I'm sure someone's got a notepad.
It's a fine brew. I mean, it's a finer brew at Starbucks.
It is. That's true. That's true. Okay. Here is another obscure question. Favorite vacation spot. Now, not just that question. Out of these two choices, Orlando, Florida, or Knoxville, Tennessee. Knoxville has the Sun Sphere. You have to remember that's a big deal.
The sun.
Is it?
The Sun Sphere. Yes, it's just a big golden sphere held up on a big pedestal. It's gigantic. You can't miss it when you're driving past Knoxville. So I feel like I hear that brings a ton of people around the world to come see the Sun Sphere. So that's why we pose this question.
That's a hard choice other than to say I wouldn't live in Florida, but I like the vacation in Florida. So I'm going to have to go with Orlando.
Okay.
I'm a walking sunburn waiting to happen, so the least south I can go, probably the better. So I guess I'll go Rocky Top with this one.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I am incredibly pasty. I was not gifted with any sort of good skin complexion, so I've often said that the sun actually reflects off of me. I don't know if you can relate to that, Jeff, but
Have you ever been hospitalized for a sunburn?
I've been close. I've been close.
Yes, been there. Got the T-shirt.
I think I can go ahead and say that someone else has been hospitalized because the sun reflected off my forehead and someone was
That's
driving
fair.
and they lost control of the car. That's the only thing I can say, but I've been close. I'll go ahead and say that. That was a tough question. I mean, Orlando, Florida, and Knoxville, Tennessee, they're right there together. I mean,
Yeah.
I see all those videos, I'm sure, whenever you turn on the TV and, families are choosing to take their vacation to Knoxville, Tennessee, and the kids are so happy packing their suitcases and all that. It's always fun. So we'll move on to it.
I have preferred vacation spots, and neither are those, but that's okay.
You know what? Let's go ahead and that was an unfair question to box people in. Favorite vacation spot. You might not want to reveal it. I'm the type of person like I don't want people to know where I vacation, but if you wanted to share that, your favorite vacation spot.
Well, any beach, because my mother's from New England. But I will say I went to Gulf Shores about 5 or 6 years ago. And I was walking on the beach, and a woman from Mayfield. Well, a woman came up to me and she said, "Aren't you Todd?" I said, "Yeah," and she was from Mayfield. So
that's I think Gulf Shores is Western Kentucky South is sometimes what I refer to it as far as the vacation spot. But Jeff,
and then the woman then asked for a picture, and Todd asked for $10. So that was the end of that transaction.
accurate.
Left out that part. Yeah.
God, vacation. Just send me to Vegas. I don't need the kids. Screw them. My wife and I can go to Vegas. She doesn't even have to come. Whatever. Well, I'll just go. There's lots to do. That's the thing, boys. You get older and you get the wives. Vegas is a glorious locale, and that it's a completely different city depending on who you go with. If you go with your boys, there's a Vegas that you can go enjoy. If you want to take the missus with you, there's an entirely different, there's like restaurants and shows and stuff that you would never do with the boys while you're out eating buffets and gambling and doing other sort of things. So just for the variety is the spice of life. Vegas is the gold standard.
I think that's a good spot. That's a good spot. DJ will have to consider taking a trip to Vegas if we ever get enough money to do so.
Yeah. All right. I'll hop on to the next one. Sitcom, either Seinfeld or Friends, which is the preferred between the two?
Hands down, Seinfeld. Absolutely Seinfeld. I'll go to the grave with Seinfeld. I cannot stand Friends.
Wow.
It's annoying.
Wow.
Wow.
And I know I'm going to get a lot of people listening to this right now.
A lot of nasty emails are heading your way, Todd, after some of these questions.
I'm used to it, but I'm a Seinfeld. I can quote, I would say 70% of Seinfeld. I've watched it enough. So I'm a Seinfeld guy.
Okay.
I'd probably find a way to merge the two. If I would go the first like 3 seasons of Friends, and then once Seinfeld, and then I thought it faded off, but I thought Seinfeld took a season or two to find their groove, and then and then they were off to the races. So
That's
if
true.
I can take the hybrid of the two, I'll go that way.
And I feel like, I mean, our generation has been able to like stream these shows and all that, but you never hear of like Seinfeld being one of those where like younger kids are stumbling upon it and loving it. Friends, of course, is one of those. The Office is, everyone loves The Office and things like that. But Seinfeld, I feel like one of the best sitcoms of all time, if not the best sitcom of all time.
I just
So-
think if you didn't get Seinfeld, like Seinfeld's, I can see how someone wouldn't get it. Like, and
Yeah.
there's just parts of, Kramer walking into the room. If that joke doesn't amuse you, which you're going to see every single episode, then you've lost. Like, I get it. I get that you wouldn't get it. I also think you're communist, but I mean that's a general. I
a fair
think
assumption.
there's parts of that are, there's just sort of the inside stuff that has, after decades, I think, and like we were younger when we watched it, and so everything you watch when you're younger is of more importance, I guess, and you kind of hang your hat on it, but.
But you bring up a good point with Office. The Office is, I feel like that crosses more generational lines than any other.
That's true.
I think. I mean, there's different age people in the sitcom. I think the jokes are more. I don't know. The jokes are more wide ranging. I love The Office too. So
I think we actually asked you The Office or Parks and Rec last time. I think you might even said you hadn't seen Parks and Rec. Was that?
no,
true,
I've
or?
seen Parks and Rec.
Okay.
I just prefer The Office. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Well, we won't get into any heated debate there. That'll start up another.
Can I just say every answer I give, there's like this Bidwell, like,
He's been steady. He's been handing out the head nods. The very upset faced head nods all night. So for those that are listening over the podcast, you might have to get on YouTube just to see those faces that Jeff has been handing out. But talking about another TV show, I don't know you guys have watched The Mandalorian, but the next question, Baby Yoda, too much or not enough?
I have no idea who Baby Yoda is.
Ooh.
Whoa.
All right.
I mean, you have Twitter though. Have you seen like a Baby Yoda?
I've seen people talk about this Disney Plus show that they just can't get enough of, and there's this miniature Yoda character wrapped in a potato sack. But that's all I really know about it.
So you would say just no comment on that question then?
Yeah, I'm just gonna pass.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I pass.
Jeff has his head in his hands, sighing. Let's see what he has to say.
That opinion was brought to you by a gentleman who used to make event nights into trips to Blockbuster. So if things are starting to piece together for you.
Yes.
I too have not seen 1 second of The Mandalorian because I have enough streaming services. But I can also, to quote my 13-year-old son, it's not the baby, it's the child. That's
Sure.
what he always says to me all
And
the time.
that's true. We didn't give his actual name there.
I will. Yeah, why not? He brings happiness into the world. We could all use more of that. So
That's
never
exactly
enough,
right.
Baby Yoda.
Can I
Never
just
enough.
say something about the? Can I just say something about the streaming services? See, part of it is I don't want one more. I don't want to pay for one more streaming service. I'm already paying for Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max,
Humble brag. Humble
Netflix. I just don't want the Disney thing. I don't need the Disney thing.
I think the corporations misunderstood us when we said we wanted streaming. We all wanted them to go into like one or two streaming services, and now there's Discovery Plus, Disney Plus, all these pluses that we don't want plus, we want minus, right? We want fewer streaming services. So I agree with that. A lot of streaming services can be a little bit too much, but for those that don't have streaming services, this question that DJ is going to ask might be a little bit more up their alley.
Yeah. If you're scrolling through your TV guide, what's a movie that you'll always stop and watch if it's on?
Oh gosh, Shawshank Redemption is one.
Great choice.
Major League, Christmas Vacation, National Lampoons. Those are three at least. So
Those are
All
good.
three
Those are all good.
fantastic.
Castaway for me is a number one with a bullet. Probably, I'm Team Helen Hunt forever. Although I still completely disagree with the fact that the dude she's supposed to get married crashes in the ocean, and within 18 months she's already married and knocked up. I just thought that was a little, I don't know how much feeling she really had for old Tom there, but She still
Yeah,
got my heart.
really
It's
brutal,
good.
really brutal.
Really,
Actually,
yeah.
the ending of Castaway. DJ and I, huge Tom Hanks fans. So I'll just go ahead. I'm not supposed to answer any of these questions, but if Tom Hanks shows up on my TV as I'm scrolling through it, I'm stopping. All right, he is worth stopping
Yeah, no
for.
matter what.
Love Tom Hanks. He's a great guy. So that concludes our rapid fire. Go ahead, Todd. I saw you put up
yeah,
Tom.
sorry.
If it's about Tom Hanks, we can make time. It's about Tom Hanks. We can make time.
Always make time for Tom Hanks. So before we did this, I was watching News of the World, his newest.
Okay.
Movie. And I'm not a big Western fan. I just I read the premise and I thought, I don't know. It's an excellent movie. I mean, it's 2 hours and I blinked and it was over and it was awesome. It was Tom Hanks.
It's the Tom Hanks effect. He can make any movie go by just like that. So that was I'm glad that you added that in because I actually was wondering about that movie. So now I'm definitely going to watch it. But that's it. That's it for our rapid fire questioning. So that got us all warmed up. And now it's really the big question that everyone's been waiting for. It's the name of today's podcast, right? News versus sports. What matters more?
Let's get ready to rumble.
Now, I mentioned the tension earlier. I feel like the tension's going to get high here. But Todd, since you were our first guest on episode 87, you get to go first. And then Jeff, of course, you can have your rebuttal.
Well, I appreciate that. And let me just say, I'm going to make a preemptive strike that yes, I tend to check out during sports segment.
I got to take notes during this. Hang on. Go ahead.
I do not have a enormous sports knowledge in my medulla oblongata. I'm not exactly a sports person, except I can play tennis. I could probably do at least 9, not a full 18 rounds, but I could do 9 rounds of golf.
God bless you.
I don't know. The last time I played golf was like 25 years ago, but I can do tennis. I can do tennis.
Bless your heart.
So I will be, believe it or not, I will be diplomatic and political and say that one is not necessarily more important than the other. They often go hand in hand. Not to be too serious here, but they often go hand in hand because, I mean, if a sports story is big enough and worthy enough, then we bring on our sports director, Mr. Bidwell, and we pump it up and play it high, as we say in the biz, play it high in the newscast.
Never heard that phrase ever, and I've been doing this for 25 years.
High, I've always said play it high.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
So that's an answer, non-answer. I'm interested to see what Jeff says.
Wow. So Jeff, he kind of took the high road, and now he's going to see what road you take here.
First of all,
I feel like we should. You're good. I feel like we should have hit the let's get ready to rumble before we delve into this.
Maybe we can do that post. We can do the post edit there.
Yeah.
Okay.
News is 100% more important than sports. We are for lack of a better phrase, we are the entertainment portion of the program. And, somebody wins and somebody loses and we all go home at the end. So it is, what I do is, I think it can be important in terms of, sports are important to people. And I think, there is definitely a place in sort of the, in sort of that fabric of a newscast and so on. And, I've been to a lot of basketball games at Murray State where there were 8,000 or 9,000 people in there. I'm still waiting to find a city council meeting that has 8,000 or 9,000 people that show up to that.
Right.
So, I mean, it is important to people and in a lot of ways. And it, for certain people, my thoughts on sports have evolved a lot over the years. And it's kind of reached that point now of, it's just it's a TV show. It's a TV show. Your favorite team is a TV show, and the characters change. And you get to the end of the season, and you got to wait for the next season to start. And in the end, somebody wins, somebody loses, your life doesn't change, but it can affect you in ways. And, and certainly, I think sports are maybe, things have changed a lot in the 25 years that I've gotten into this. And there are so many more things to do in the world that sports have taken a back seat, in terms of priority of people don't spend as much, attendance is down at games, ratings are down on TV because people can just watch highlights on their phone. They're not really that as interested in it. So, but at the same time, I think that, when you have places that are small communities, and this is kind of a way of what Todd's talking about, that it sort of supersedes the sports element where, when you have a smaller community where, and I think back to, 2007, Fulton City High School, which is one of the 5 smallest high schools in the entire state of Kentucky, had one of the best football teams in the state in their class. And that entire town was overrun by football pride. Like it was sort of that, like everyone in that town had a sense of pride that I'm from Fulton and that this, I've got, and it's like, and that's something that I think the sports arena can help provide and help elevate sort of an attitude of people in there. But in the end, we're just playing a game and we're just going home at the end of the day.
Right.
And what happens in the first 27 minutes of the newscast is, except, sometimes we have, stories of, squirrels on skateboards or something, but for the most part, what's happening those first 27 minutes is actually important to life in the big picture. So,
and to kind of piggyback on what Jeff is saying, kind of reading between the lines, is something that I was told and taught probably back in high school. What you feel lasts longer than what you read and what you say, and numbers that you're told in your ear. The feeling remains. And not to get too deep and dark into the conversation, but we all remember the feeling of 9/11. We all remember the feeling of the Marshall County shooting. We all remember the feeling of huge things that happen in our community. And I would argue that you can, not that I have the verbiage to articulate it, but we remember the feeling of sports accomplishments, whether it be in Fulton or Murray State. I mean, fans and people and viewers, you remember that feeling. You can't necessarily spout out numbers and dates and times, but it's that feeling that stays with you.
Yeah, and that's really true. And congratulations. DJ and I have been doing this podcast for over 2 years, and you guys just gave the 8 best minutes of all you need to know ever, as far as content and heart and things like that. You guys are welcome to take over. If you guys just need us to give you the login stuff, you guys are welcome to take this. And
you're lucky I got on tonight's Zoom. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got a fancy laptop and I don't know what I'm doing with it.
It's like watching my grandfather trying to program the clock on his VCR. I mean, it's just like, it just blinks and that's Todd. It's just flashing triple zeros.
It's painful, but it's entertaining. Yes. I think that what you guys said was brilliant. I mean, both of the things are true, and it's a thought that I haven't ever heard really before, is those feelings that are attached, and those feelings, like you said, Todd, are attached to news. They're attached to sports. I mean, DJ and I have been involved in athletics or in or around athletics for most of our lives, and whenever you win, you feel it. Whenever you lose, you feel it. And that's even, if you're on a team or if you're just a fan of a team watching from afar. You've probably never been to that city or something, but same thing happens with news. You can see something happen, across the country, and it hurts you. You feel it. So it's really neat that, as far as the back and forth that you guys had before, but then you both came in at that same line and said, hey, both would matter. So I think that that's a really nice way to do it. There's no right or wrong. It's just one kind of big story.
And I think to talk about those feelings, part of the reason I got into my job is that I was sort of given a ticket to sort of get the front row seat to those events that can offer those feelings. And, I can, I sit back and if somebody what's the best thing you've seen or the greatest thing you've done and it's the moments. And generally it's these moments of great celebration that ultimately I had nothing to do with, but it's my, you get into sports journalism. I mean, at its core, because you like sports. And so when you're sitting literally courtside at an NCAA tournament game and the team that you're there to cover, hits a buzzer beater to win the game, you're like, I'm never going to forget this moment.
Yeah.
And in the next breath, and maybe I'm just a coward, but for the moments, to be a news reporter, it's like there is a certain amount of courage and frankly balls it takes for our people and anybody at any news organization in the world of, hey, your house just burned down. Hey, you just had a family member murdered. Hey, and now I'm going to try and stick a microphone in your face to talk to you. Those are moments that frankly, I don't want anything to do with. Like, I'm not wired that way to be able to handle that. And so maybe I went the soft way and I'm just going to go do the stuff that doesn't really matter in the big picture. But, guys like Todd, and that's all fine and well that, people see Todd on TV and Jennifer and all anchors everywhere. Nobody walks in the door and just starts anchoring. Todd has been boots on the ground, when he started his career and has done all of that too. And so I am always in a hat tipping mode with those guys who just have when stuff is uncomfortable and this isn't something I really want to do, but you kind of just have to have the courage to go do it, let alone when you get situations where, God bless all those people in the Capitol a couple weeks ago, trying to report on that when you're like, I don't feel safe anymore. And I'm still trying to do my job. Like, dude, I'm just going to stand at a basketball arena. And again, if that's just cowardice or whatever, I will cop to all of it. But I was like, I'm not wired for that. And that's again, I give all due credit in the world to everybody in the news department that does that side.
Definitely. Yeah. And I'll go ahead and say that Todd has given his Twitter followers a firsthand look at the emails that he can sometimes get. I remember last time you told us that, people would send a nasty email if you wore a red tie or a blue tie, and you were just like, I'm just wearing a tie. That doesn't mean anything. So there's definitely that aspect of the news, department as well as, for some reason you're the dartboard that people can throw their darts at as far as sending complaints.
Yeah, and I'd like to say that I've tried to throttle that back a little bit
Yeah.
in the last couple of weeks. I thought, all right, I'm going a little overboard in responding on social media. So, but yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
So I apologize for bringing that up. Didn't mean
No.
didn't mean to open up a sore wound.
Well, but honestly, I see him do that, and I know where he's coming from when he does it. But then there's the part of me, and it's probably 25-year-old me with probably a little more John Wayne DNA in me would have thought about it differently. But now, almost 46-year-old me and father and husband and all that, I like sort of like, I'm almost it's not even, Todd, you shouldn't have done that. It's like, I'm almost fearful for him on some level, just because there are a section of the world right now, and this isn't a left, right, whatever. There is just a section of the world that has lost their damn mind. And you just don't know how people are going to react to your reaction to whatever stupid thing they did, and that's
right. And it's like, and personally speaking, as a journalist, it's like you get caught in this warp where you think, I'm just, damn it, I'm over it. I'm ready to hit back and punch back, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. So you start hitting back and hitting back and hitting back in social media land, and then you're just kind of reminded, like I said, like, lay off the throttle. It's not doing anybody any good. And just take a deep breath and just go to work every day and do your job. And sometimes I say that out loud so that I do it.
Well, that's good to remind yourself sometimes. Luckily, we don't have a lot of people writing in, upset about what we say, but that's mainly because we don't have a lot of people listen. I think that's mainly the reason why we don't have a lot of emails coming in. And I was going to ask Jeff, you're not one of the people sending Todd the emails, right?
No, I just walk up and say that directly to his face. I don't have to
Perfect.
send an email. I don't waste the energy on that.
Okay, that's fair. So let's go ahead and switch a little bit. That was really great. If you guys want to add anything to that, I mean, that was awesome. I appreciate you guys, opening up and sharing stuff like that. But to go back more, we always like to kind of have a good, upbeat, fun atmosphere. This question might get you guys going. Which one of you would you say gets more recognized in public? I mean, Todd said he was just recognized in Gulf Shores, so he might have a head start on this one. But how would you guys answer that question?
If I could add a point of order, an addendum. I've also been recognized in the Kennedy Presidential Museum in Boston, several airports in New York, several, let's see, Nashville Airport, Chicago Airport, Columbus Airport. So I'm just putting these out there. These are facts, Jeff. These are facts.
Of course, he had his mom and dad with him, and they were just yelling at him down the hall at Sparrow, like, Todd Faulkner, we need you. We got to go. So I don't know that we count those all the time, but
that's my answer.
Yeah, you're sticking to it. I don't know. I think our, and I know we're trying to be funny. I think I'm out more than Todd, like sort of in the setting, so it's like I'm at game and people see me a lot more. So I think Todd is more, especially now that he's more into that, anchor and newsroom manager almost type of, he's not out amongst his little people. So he does not, necessarily have, I think it's probably a little more different when somebody sees like, oh, there's Todd, where it's like, oh, there's Jeff for the 87th time we've seen him this week. It's not as much a big deal. So,
right. Well, I was going to say, I mean, I've seen you plenty of times. DJ and I both attend Murray State at the moment. I've seen you in that atmosphere, but you always seem like, you've got a camera, you're reporting on something, you're very busy. I mean, how this happened is I ran into Todd, I think at the Kentucky Dam, the restaurant at Kentucky Dam, and I asked for a picture with him because I was a big fan.
How much did he charge you?
It was only 15 that day. Okay. So I got off good. Pretty good, but
that's good.
Is that one of those things where, you said people see you for the 87th time. I'm sure it's one of those things where they just see you so often out there. So maybe it's an unfair question.
Well, it's, but the nice part is it's in a way you sort of almost have this extended family of friends, that it's just like, hey, you've seen me for the 87th time. I may have seen you for the 20th time because I wasn't looking for you to start, but it's like you sort of become familiar with people and you can, sort of have those quick conversations in those moments. But, it's not, somebody once said to me, and it's kind of true that in a way it's like I become, and I always want to just triple air quote this, my celebrity grows the further away from Paducah I get.
Really?
It's like, I'm in Kroger 4 times a week. It's like people see me in town because this is where I live. My kids go to school here. This is just it's the way it is. But it's like once you start getting out, and especially when you go to, if I'm in Carlisle or Fulton or Ballard or, Hopkinsville, it's just places, and it's like, oh, TV guy here, because those are more unicorn moments, but usually they're like, hey, weather guy, how's it going? It's like, so I got to take the good with the bad.
And I think I'm trying to think if it was here or if it was when I was in West Virginia. I think it was here. It's been so long. A guy passed me in the grocery store and he looked right at me and he goes, hey, Todd. And I said, hi. And I kept walking. And then he turned around and he goes, I don't know why I said hi to you. I just feel like I know you. And I'm like, it's all right. It's good.
That's it.
I mean, it's part of that, right? Because you guys are kind of in people's homes every single night, probably a part of people's routine. So it's one of those things where they, the more they watch the news, the more they kind of feel like
that.
Well, I mean, not, physically coming into their homes. I mean, in a figurative sense, they're inviting them into their homes. So,
well, Todd walks around, he checks the front door. If it's unlocked, he'll see what's up. But,
that's fair. Yeah.
It's, I mean, I was probably, this was my first year here. And I was at dinner in a restaurant and a guy walks up and he's like, TV guy. And he literally sat down in the booth. He like pushed me into the side and then said, I want to sit there and have a conversation. And I was like, I'm eating dinner. I don't know who you are. Like, it was just like, there's times where, he is perfectly nice and harmless and whatever, but just, you kind of get those boundary moments,
sure.
Those are sort of few and far between, but it's like, but to your point about comfort, it's like, hey, I know you, let's, I've been meaning to talk to you about something and let's do it right this second. And
any disguises? You guys ever throw on a baseball cap and some sunglasses and try to get, under the radar as far as going to grocery shopping or anything like that?
Todd?
Yes. I mean, I'll be honest. I am not. I've always said this my whole life. I don't like wearing ball caps, but I do on the weekend. I put on a hat. I don't know. That's stupid. People still I do it.
I got nothing. It's like what I wear a hat 90% of the time. So no, but it's like there's time. I mean, you just honestly in this. I have been stunned by how many people have completely figured out who I am within 1 second of me walking into a room, even during this mask time. I was like,
Yeah.
I would be the worst bank robber in the world. It's like I walk in, they're like, "Hey, Jeff." I was like, "Gee," I'm like, how?
How can you
It's-
see my
and
face?
so-
Yeah, exactly.
But
Well,
that's as close we get.
another interesting question is, do you guys think you could ever switch? Jeff read the news and Todd read the sports, like Freaky Friday, or maybe like the MTV, Crossroads, where they bring two people in from different genres and they play. Is that possible? You guys think you could pull it off?
If sports was written out word for word and I could look at it about 3 months in advance and rehearse it every day, I could probably pull it off. But if you're asking me to ad lib the Jeff, what's it called? Like your sports calling? What is that? Play by play?
Highlights, is that what you're looking for?
Highlights. Yeah, highlights.
Yeah.
Play by play. That would be a disaster.
Okay.
That would be a disaster.
And then Jeff, do you think
Bless your
you could
Bless your
pull it off?
I've done the news. I did the news. That was, I in college where, you kind of just learn to do everything and then you kind of figure out what you want to do. But even, I think it was 2013, it was Christmas Eve, and we're sort of on a skeleton crew to start with because everybody, half the people are on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And then something went, like a couple of people got sick.
I know what it was, Jeff. That was for whatever reason, like, okay, so 2013, like 7 or 8 years ago, I kept getting strep throat like 2, 3, 4 times during a year. And I just kept getting strep throat. But to your point, we were short staffed and you had a news background anyway. And so they're like, Jeff, you do the news.
They said, "Hey, can you do it?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, and it was funny that day because the producers were all, it was very kid gloves. Like they were handing over, the code for a nuclear bomb to me. I was like, the words are on the screen. They're going to go up. I'm going to read them. I was like, we're going to be fine. We'll get through this. And so I did the 5 and the 6. I did the news and the sports. I didn't do the weather. That was the only thing that I passed on. So, I've done it. But I would pay a week's salary for Todd to do sports.
Maybe it's something you guys can bring up at a pitch coming up. Say, hey, we got an idea to do a Freaky Friday. We're going to switch spots, and Todd's going to read the sports. I'm going to read the news. Possible.
That would be one heck of a pitch.
Well, on that note, last time we had Todd on, we gave him the pitch of the What the Falk segment, and from what I understand, what Todd told us is it was discussed in meetings that WPSD had, which for me was like, that's crazy. That's something that I just sent to Todd and then talked about, amongst professionals in their workplace. But we thought that it would only be fair if we kind of gave you your own segment, possibly, Jeff, if that's something you'd be comfortable in. Because while you're pitching the Freaky Friday idea, you can just throw this in there. Because last time Todd did not call BS on the double diamond in Paducah, and I think he was right. As far as I know, Paducah traffic has been fantastic. But we came up with this. You can take it or leave it, okay? And we've got 2 options for you. Bet well with Jeff Bidwell or Jeff Betwell with Jeff Bidwell. So the second one's a little repetitive. Bet well with Jeff Bidwell. The idea, a sports segment where once sports betting is legal in Kentucky, you can give your picks and your locks, your money lines, and things like that for the week's most important games. You think that's something that might be worthy of pitching to them?
I'm ready to go right now. At this point, we got the Bucks +3 right now. We're trying to just finish this bad boy off down in New Orleans. So I'd be very comfortable in that environment. So
okay, well, that's what we figured. We figured you're the sports guy. You'd be comfortable doing that. So we actually have some games that we would like to ask.
Okay.
Let's see. This will be a little run through. These are some games that this episode is going to be released on Wednesday. So these are some games where Wednesday, I think we're even going to include an NFL game. We'll be able to wrap it up and see how you did as far as the game conclusions and the results of those games. So Kentucky at Georgia. What's your pick?
Are we just picking games at this point?
Yes. Don't have money lines. It's too far away.
No. Okay. It's at Georgia.
At Georgia.
God bless. I feel like this is where I'm going to get my tires slashed. I at this point, I just feel like we've reached with Kentucky that until we start seeing, there's only so many times you can go to the well and be like, well, they're going to get it turned around here. It's not working right now. And until we sort of get, we get some returns, some consistent returns. And I thought we had gotten them when they had
Mhm.
won those, 3 in a row there, but it's off the tracks again. So I'll go Georgia.
Okay. Texas at Iowa State. So to Steve Prohm, his
The
team's
Steve
struggling a
Prohm,
little bit,
they
but
are scuffling a lot. And, as I was talking with him last week, name drop, that we had, they've got 5 top 15 teams in the Big 12 right now. And unfortunately, his guys are not. And it is a gauntlet that they're going through. And I just think you got to go with Shaka on the horns.
okay. Now moving to some NBA games. Grizzlies at Trailblazers.
I love I might as well be speaking Latin right now, looking at Todd's face, like just has no clue what's happening. He hears the words. He knows he's been taught them at some point. Just doesn't know.
I'm trying to use my context clues, but I'm hearing talk about bears and Wildcats. It's like
It
a
can be
zoo.
confusing. Yes.
It is like a zoo.
John Morant's Grizzlies at the Trailblazers.
Grizzlies, Blazers. Grizzlies actually hung in okay with Ja on the shelf with the ankle injury, but he's back, and we'll go with Ja.
Okay. Celtics at Sixers.
Philly boy. God, I hate the Celtics. So just straight rage pick there. We'll go with Philly.
We
A
figured.
fun fact: the Celtics, that's Boston.
There we go. A fun fact. The AY and 2K fun fact of the day from Todd Faulkner that the Celtics are located in Boston. So that's really good.
Correct.
And then the only NFL game as we're recording that is scheduled for next weekend at the moment, Bills at Chiefs for the AFC Championship.
I think obviously the big question there is Mahomes' health after the concussion today against Cleveland. So I think Buffalo has been sort of the underappreciated darling all season long, and I think they can go in, especially if there was 70,000 people in Arrowhead. I would you got to go with KC and the defending champs, but Chad Henne was cute for a quarter today. I don't know if he could stand up for 4 if need be. So I like Buffalo to go in there and pull the upset, and I think they're getting 2.5, 3 points too. So at the early line I saw, so
All right.
I'll take the points and the Bills.
And
So we
Jeff, by Buffalo, do you mean Buffalo Bills?
That would be correct.
Wow.
But you're on a roll.
I think I said Bills whenever I asked the question, but
No,
we'll get that to you anyways.
Go back to Jeff's credit. I check out when sports
That's right.
talk.
Well, so we've got Jeff's picks, and we thought, how fun would it be if we put Jeff's picks up against Todd's picks for these exact same games? So that'll be something that people can follow as they listen to the podcast, and then we can tweet it out. Todd, I'm going to ask you the exact same questions. We're going to see what your picks are. Jeff looks frustrated that we're doing this, but hey, let's see if Todd can beat Jeff Bidwell himself.
Here's what's going to happen. Whatever he says is somehow going to be better than what I said. And then this is going to turn into the 2013 NCAA WPSD office pool that he won, that he's already he's got the bid in to have the statue built out front of the station with him holding his bracket over his head in victory. That was one of the, we can go, Chaminade, Virginia, UMBC, Virginia. We can, U.S. beating the Soviets. It doesn't matter. Todd Faulkner winning the NCAA bracket pool when, and Todd is well aware now, I think he knows, when we did a pop quiz of where Gonzaga was, and he said, I said, do you know what state, like, just give me a region that Gonzaga is located in. And it started with the Southeast. I think the answer went Southeast, Midwest, Middle East was his final answer. He went with the Middle East. So, I mean, he had he couldn't even like pull a time zone out that was possible. So, I mean, that's how miraculous what he did was. But I think really in the end, I don't think he meant it in that way, but I think it was really a great lesson to the kids of the next generation that anything's possible if you put your mind to it, or just close your eyes and pray, and stuff will just sometimes fall out of the sky into your lap.
Yes. And so that's what we're going to see if this happens. I mean, that always happens with brackets. It seems like the people that don't know a lot about sports always do better. So let's see what happens here. Todd, Kentucky Wildcats at Georgia Bulldogs.
I'm going to go Georgia.
Okay. Texas Longhorns at the Iowa State Cyclones.
I'll go Texas.
Okay. Grizzlies at Trailblazers. Memphis Grizzlies, Portland Trailblazers.
You know what's funny is I honestly have no idea how Jeff answered because I literally checked out for a minute.
So far, you have
I-
the same two teams.
I don't know if any of these are the same. I'm being completely honest. So what is it? The Grizzlies and the who?
The Grizzlies and the Trailblazers. Now, Jeff went Grizzlies, so if you wanted to go Trailblazers, that might mix
And
it
who are
up.
the Trailblazers?
The Portland Trailblazers.
Portland, Oregon.
Yes, that's right.
All right, let's go Trailblazers.
Okay, Trailblazers it is. We've got Celtics, Boston Celtics, like you said earlier, at the Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, I know as little as I know about sports, I do know that Jeff is a Phillies guy, so I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Boston Celtics.
Wow. All right. And then finally, the AFC Championship scheduled for next weekend. You've got the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs.
And wait, Kansas City, didn't they win the hold on.
Tell him.
Let's get him.
see.
Let's let him get in.
What's it called?
They won the Super Bowl last year.
There we go. Okay. Yeah.
There it is.
But Kayla, one of our executive producers, is a Buffalo Bills fanatic, and only because she talks about it all the time, I know they're doing well. So I'm going to go Buffalo.
Okay. Wow. So both of you go with the upset, but there are some different games there. So we will update that as those games are played on All You Need to Know's Twitter account and all of our other social medias. But hey, there's a sports segment, and maybe you could even do that every time you do it, Jeff, is have Todd also pick games to see who's gonna come out as the more wins at the end of the season.
I would have to have someone else though in the studio to like get his attention because I don't think
Right.
it is an understatement, as he's really proven in the last 5 minutes, that when the little graphics is like sports and I start talking, this is generally Todd.
Just falls asleep, leans
Well,
back.
he's awake. He's awake. It's just sort of he's counting ceiling tiles, and he kind of just waits until he hears the tone, like I'm wrapping up, or I start talking fast because we're running out of time with the show, and then he's like, okay, I got to come back to earth here, and then he picks up. But he has no clue what's going on.
All right.
And it's not out of malice. He's done his best. It's a whole half-hour show. He's got like 26 minutes of focus, and we get to the last 4, and he's trying to get to the finish line.
Your Honor, there is nothing inaccurate about that statement.
Okay. And no further questions from us. So that's going to do it for this episode of All You Need to Know. Guys, we appreciate you joining us. We had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too. And you guys are welcome back anytime you want to. All right. So, Todd and I communicate back and forth. Jeff, Todd, if you ever like, hey, I want to spend my weekend talking to 2 college guys that have a semi-successful podcast, you guys are welcome to come on whenever you want.
I appreciate it. It was my pleasure. I had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
So that's going to do it for episode 156 of All You Need to Know. We concluded that news and sports both matter, which I think is a good way to come to that conclusion. But my name is Quinn Eaton.
I'm DJ Pig.
He's Todd Faulkner. Sorry.
Am I supposed to go? Todd. I'm Todd.
Yeah. See, someone else was talking. He completely phased out of the conversation. I'm just waiting for it to end.
Right. And that's all you need to know.
This has been All You Need to Know. If you have a topic you would like to hear about, message us on Twitter or Facebook, or send us an email at allyouneedthenumber2know00@gmail.com. Rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and tune in every Wednesday because here at AYN2K, we've got you covered.
See ya.
Jeff, do I hit the X here? How do I get off of this thing?
Godspeed, Todd.